For today's cup of coffee, youngest kid is over here doing something. He's acting odd.
Yes, I asked her a question and it's complete silence with it.
That's because I was doing something else. You saw that I was
What
seeing
about when you were
something.
done? Huh?
It was just a matter of asking him to move the microphone a little bit closer.
And so I did.
He did. And he's like, as far as, I can be loud, but normally I'm not that loud of a person.
But I have hearing challenges.
And he wears a beanie over his ears.
Uh-huh. And like, sometimes I will go, huh? And then she will go quieter. She will lower her tone even more instead of volume, whatever. She will lower the volume of her voice. And so I'm like, what? And then she'll go quieter. Or she'll be like, and I'm like,
I'm just not usually, if I'm escalated, I will get loud.
yeah.
But I'm not normally I'm not normally a loud person.
And then I get annoyed, and so I cop attitude, and when I cop attitude, I get attitude back. But it's like, how am I supposed to hear when you lower the volume of your voice even lower? When I'm like, what?
Move the beanie off of your ears. That will help you.
Raise the volume of your voice.
Oh, anyhow, for today's cup of coffee, we have a backdrop that has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
It looks like a sea urchin.
It does look like a sea urchin, which has nothing to do with today's content.
It has to do with the
But
playlist.
it's what we had.
It has to do with the Spotify playlist that I made today. But.
Yeah, well, I think what basically was why I chose this one is because I have been very much enjoying the audible audiobook of Dune. Mm-hmm. And I have read Frank Herbert's Dune many years ago and really enjoyed the book. And never did read beyond the first one, not quite sure why, but the Audible book, whoever is narrating it is phenomenal. Mm-hmm. And it's sort of hit and miss on some of the narrators. But now this guy is he's there.
Yes.
Very enjoyable. I can listen to it as I'm doing whatever. So, we're going to be talking about the Mongolian death worm.
Ew.
Elusive legend of the Gobi Desert.
Is that what inspired the sandworm from Beetlejuice?
It could be. It very much, because, Dune talks, they've got those giant sandworms. They did have the sandworms that were in Beetlejuice. Anything else? I think that there wasn't the movie, was it Holes? About sandworms or something?
I never saw that movie, so...
Tremors. My bad. Tremors was what it was.
Never saw that movie either.
Oh, that one, I think it came out of the 80s. I think that was Kevin Bacon back when he was a thing. I wonder what happened to him.
I've heard the name. I have no idea.
But I saw that once. So you've actually had some representations of sandworms.
Okay.
And these things will eat you in the movies. And in the legend.
In the legend.
And this one actually was by a guy. I was going to try to avoid him, but the story was so good that I just went ahead and used it. Benjamin Radford. Now, he is one of these that he's a skeptic. And people have used some of his skepticism in other articles that we have used, and I'm like, wonder if he's an ass. Mm-hmm. Which he very well could be, an ass. But this was published June 21st, 2014, and comes from Live Science. Like I said, I'm really enjoying that. It's a new resource for me, so I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
And Mr. Radford writes, it sounds like a fantastic lethal creature that might be found in a 1950s pulp science fiction novel or sci-fi television movie, but some people believe that a large, deadly, worm-like creature called the Mongolian death worm exists in the Gobi Desert.
I don't know about that.
Well, we're going to find out about this. We're going to find out. It says, according to British biologist Carl Shuker, Shuker,
Shuker.
In his book, The Unexplained, an illustrated guide to the world's paranormal mysteries, he states, quote, one of the world's most sensational creatures may be concealed amid the sands of the southern Gobi Desert. It is said to resemble a large fat worm up to 1 meter or 3 feet long and dark red in color with spike-like projections at both ends. It spends much of its time hidden beneath the desert sands, but whenever one is spotted lying on the surface, it is scrupulously avoided by the locals. End quote. Well, of course.
I'll take 2 scoops. Scrupulous.
I would avoid something like that too.
Yeah.
You know, most things that are out in the desert or in Australia are poisonous. Those things are trying to kill you.
They are not. That is not a playground.
No, it's not. And that, like I said,
death sentence
with the book Dune.
Mm-hmm.
And for these people to have come from a water-based planet to a desert planet.
Yeah.
And you read the stuff and you stay thirsty the entire time.
I should have brought a drink with me.
Yeah. And according to legend, the dreaded Mongolian death worm, which local people call something that I'm not even going to try to attempt, which is loosely translated as large intestine worm. I don't know if that means because it looks like a large intestine.
All worms look like some form of intestine.
Or if it's a matter that they're having worms in the intestines.
I mean, think about it. Seriously, think about it. What are worms? They're just one large hole. They're just one large tube.
Yes. Alan Watts said...
One large tube. One small tube.
That's what Alan Watts says, that we all are a series of tubes. And if you think about it, you're going, damn, he's right. He's right.
That is... Yeah.
Anyhow, it says it can kill in several fearsome ways, including spitting a stream of corrosive venom that is lethal to anything it hits. And if that doesn't do the trick, it is said to be able to electrocute its victims from a distance. Rarely seen and never photographed, it is mentioned in a 1926 book by paleontologist Roy Chapman Andrews, who didn't believe in the animal's existence, but noted that stories of it circulated in Mongolia, which I think is really cool, you know, as far as to keep these myths, legends.
What if you wear rubber boots? If you wear rubber boots in the sand, will that stop the electricity?
I don't think that it electrocute you. I think you have to make contact with it. So if you kicked it with the boot, then no, the electricity probably would not shock you.
So I'm saying, like, you could stomp that motherfucker out.
Well, sand is not, you know, it does not conduct electricity. So it would just be one of those, I don't know if it would sneak up and zap somebody or what.
It's got these little tendrils that it protrudes or something. I
don't know. It's just, we make it up on all that stuff.
I'd hunt it down.
There's been many that's tried. Yeah. And it says, despite or perhaps because of the creature's fearsome name, many intrepid explorers have set out into the Gobi Desert seeking the beast. Numerous organized expeditions and searches have been made over the years by both independent researchers and in conjunction with television shows. Of course they have. But on any of these TV shows that they've got, have they ever found anything?
No.
That's why. And yet people continue to watch them. I don't understand that.
Mountain Monsters.
Now that one I do enjoy just because I like the people and I'm like, wonder if we're kin to any of those people. For real, I think of these things. I do. It says, despite extensive searches, eyewitness interviews, and even setting traps for the beast, I'll have come back empty-handed.
Wow.
But they're assuming some of these animals are stupid.
Yeah, well, yeah.
You know?
I mean, some of them are.
Well, yeah. It says, many of those who believe in the creature acknowledge that there is no hard evidence of its existence, but instead believe that legends and stories of them must have some basis in historical truth. The descriptions, mostly second and third hand stories from different places and times, are too similar, they believe, to be anything but independent eyewitness reports. From a folkloric perspective, however, this is simply a sign that legends and stories of the death worm have spread throughout the region, as commonly happens through trade and travel. Many people around the world can offer very similar descriptions of dragons, leprechauns, mermaids, and other fantastic, presumably non-existent creatures. I actually appreciated him. I actually appreciated him putting presumably. That makes me think a little more highly of the man, rather than him just totally dismissing the possibility of these creatures. It says, not from personal experience, but from hearing about them from others. So, all right, Mr. Radford, you've redeemed yourself a little bit with me.
A tiny bit. It's 1 point.
So, is there a real animal behind the stories and legends? It seems doubtful. Compared to the North American Bigfoot or the Himalayan Yeti, for which there are dozens or hundreds of alleged footprints, photographs, for example, there is virtually no evidence of the worm's existence. Consider also that no live or dead ones have ever been found. See, that doesn't mean anything to me, because there's a lot of creatures that are there, but very rarely do you ever see the bodies or anything like that.
Bigfoot.
Right. That's one of them.
The Wendigo.
And it's like
the windy boy.
This thing that supposedly lives in the desert, well, why, if it was going to die, why would it crawl out and die?
Exactly.
Why wouldn't it die under the sand?
It would bury itself in a burrow somewhere.
Yeah.
Like a hole.
And that others would consume it because it's the desert.
Yeah.
Yes, because it's a matter of the water. You've got to swire your water on it. Every other creature that is known to exist has left behind a dead body or skeleton. That's not so. In fact, the Gobi would likely
Worms don't have skeletons.
Right. In fact, the Gobi would likely preserve carcasses of the animal due to the relative lack of predators and hot desert winds that slow decomposition.
Bro, they shrivel up into worm jerky.
Yeah. Inhabitants of the Gobi are aware of the global interest in their mystery monster, as well as offers of rich rewards for one of the creatures, live or dead, and if one was found, it would surely come to light. Maybe and maybe not.
Wow.
Because, I don't know.
Maybe.
A zoological perspective may help us sort fact from fiction in the legend of the Mongolian death worm. First of all, we should not be misled by the worm in its name. That's an English translation.
So it's a snake.
Possibly. The creature, if it exists in the inhospitable Gobi Desert, could not be a soft, fleshy worm. Instead, it is likely to be a type of snake or legless lizard. What's the distinction between a snake and a legless lizard?
They're both reptiles, but
I
don't know. Is there a difference?
Yeah, there's a difference. I don't know if it has to do with the skeleton or... That's a good question. I should have gone down that.
Lizard that just writhes around.
Anyhow, it says this also means it would be a vertebrate animal with a spine that would presumably be found by searchers. Not necessarily. And I will tell you why in a minute. A variety of explanations have been offered for the animal, including perhaps a misidentified or new species of snake. The consensus among researchers such as Schucker and author Richard Freeman is that the Mongolian death worm likely does not exist. And the belief is instead based upon sightings of either a type of limbless reptile known as a worm lizard, which resembles a large worm, burrows underground, and can reach several feet in length, or a type of sand boa snake. Well, I could see that getting kind of confused on some of that, yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Of course, not all the characteristics of the worm lizard or sand boa are a perfect match for the death worm. For example, terrestrial snakes can't deliver lethal electric shocks. That's, in the same way that electric eels, which are actually fish, not eels, can. Why do people name these things?
Why do people use octopuses instead of octopi? Why is octopuses the right terminology, the correct terminology, but octopi is not?
Because
it's stupid.
Because the English language is just whack on a lot of things.
Because they dumb. They themselves are dumb.
Well, it's like you've got mice.
Mice.
And mice. But you've got house.
Houses.
And houses. There's no consistency. It's no wonder that people get screwed up with English. And it says, for that matter, several venomous snakes, primarily cobras and vipers, can spit poison, which, although not acidic, can certainly cause harm and blindness. Yet these reputed characteristics
Wear goggles.
Stay away from cobras. Yet these reputed characteristics are based not on hard data, but myths and stories, talking about the sandworm. Some accounts of the death worm even claim that its venomous spittle can corrode metal instantly, which is physically impossible.
Bullshit.
Well, that's... there's no kind of venom that can corrode metal.
I know, that's why that's like...
Oh, okay. Well, I got confused by what you were calling bullshit. With allowances made for the exaggeration found in rumor, legend, and folklore, the worm, lizard, or sand snake seem likely candidates. I can see that.
Yeah, it's a snake.
Because some of that stuff is almost like fishing tales.
Isn't there a lizard that has some sort of venom or whatever? It's not a snake. It's like an actual lizard.
Probably. I don't know. I know there's that one that shoots blood out of its eyes.
Which one is that one?
I don't know.
I want that one. I want that one. Can I have that one?
It's the fence.
Can I have that one?
I know.
Which one is that one?
I don't know. You'll have to look that one up.
I want that one.
Okay, and he concludes, it is of course possible that the Mongolian death worm exists, and he says of course there would have to be more than one of them to sustain what biologists call a breeding population, likely tens or hundreds of thousands of them. It says, perhaps next week, next month, or next year, such a bizarre creature will be found and examined by scientists. Until then, it seems likely that Roy Chapman Anders' assessment nearly a century ago was correct. The legend is merely, the creature is merely legend. And that is feasible.
Yeah.
Now, this was not a shitty skepticism type thing.
No, it wasn't snarky at all.
No. And we can see how it could have been one of these other creatures. And like I said, if you've ever been around people that go fishing, and sometimes they have a tendency to exaggerate greatly. Mm-hmm. Some of the things about the Gobi Desert that I think this came from like a Britannica site, I'm not going to put that in the description box. The other one, I will put the link in the description box. But the Gobi Desert is an area of 500,000 square miles. That's a lot of territory.
Too much.
That's
too much.
That most of it is not sandy, but bare rock. And there's a lot of it you can just drive over.
It's great for a quarry.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty cool, because I was like that. When you hear the word desert, you think of nothing but sand.
Yeah.
But this is not. And actually, the word
Desert.
Gobi, which that's Mongolian for waterless place.
Huh.
See, we're informational, we're educational and shit. So
when will I use that word? Probably never.
What, Gobi?
Yeah.
The Gobi Desert?
That's the only time that I'll say that word.
But it's just like... So I think it's pretty cool
That is fascinating,
about the Mongolian death worm.
Yeah.
We need myths. We need legends. There's nothing wrong with that, especially when they're ancient.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's history right there.
It is.
Legends themselves are pieces of history.
Yeah, we need those. We need myth. I
don't think people realize that.
No, they don't. I actually was starting research, and people like, you were researching. I do have a tendency to go down rabbit holes and sometimes not complete them. That's the ADHD. But why is myth important? Because it is important to a society.
Right.
So I'm not going to go too far down that rabbit hole, but we're going to save that for a later date.
I can't go down the rabbit hole because I don't know shit about shit.
But you actually respond very well here, usually.
If I don't know what to say, I ain't gonna say shit.
If I go down,
I'll just be like,
yes,
okay.
Especially if I go down the conspiracy theory rabbit holes, and you're just sort of, you look at me lost.
Because my brain cuckoo clock.
No.
That's what.
And I know that we've got people. It's like, why haven't you been
Mongolian worm dancing?
It's okay, because we've got so many things that used to be called theories that have come to light. I'm not even going to try to compete with it. That's not a conspiracy theory.
Oh, the hell you say?
No,
people say that it's people say that it's conspiracy theory, that it's actually some sort of thing stalking people. Like it's actually like some. I'm pretty sure I heard this somewhere, that the legend of Bigfoot was actually because it was some guy dressed up as a monkey
for years
to spy on people or something like that. Yeah.
Now, let me tell you something.
I don't know where the hell I heard that, but I'm like, that's a ridiculous thing.
They pulled that one out of their ass.
They really did.
My God.
I wish I could remember where I heard it. But it was recent.
I think it was best just to not.
There's a lot of people that spew stuff out of their ass that really shouldn't, though.
Absolutely. In a world of TikTok and all these things. No.
I think that's where it was. I think it came from TikTok.
Oh, my God. Of course it did.
And it was on my For You page, I wish.
It did.
Someone said that like, if you color, like, so you remember the show Kim Possible, right? This is completely off topic.
I think so.
She was a teenage spy, had red hair.
Okay.
Her top lip was dark.
Okay.
And it was iconic. And a lot of people paint like their top lip either black or like a darker shade of red or something like that. Some girl said that was racist because black people, people of color, have darker top lips.
You know, now that is I don't know that that's a conspiracy theory at all, that people's brains are just sort of eroding.
No, that is not a conspiracy theory at all. That is fact, considering we are seeing that happen before our eyes.
You need to go back and listen to what I said, but anyhow, I wasn't arguing that it was a conspiracy theory. That is fact.
Yeah.
We've actually discussed as far as what the internet and different things like that are doing to young people's brains. It's in the archives.
But also my response, that was an agreement towards you. So like.
But now, do I believe that there could be powers behind all this stuff? Duh. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's been proven also. That's what I'm saying. There's no point on a lot of this, me discussing some of the conspiracy theories, because what we've got going on in the world right now is just beyond belief on some of it. Mm-hmm. And I know there are some people that they're like, well, they're not doing this anymore. Well, we do random anyhow. But it's sometimes we need to hear things like the Mongolian death worm just to give us a break for a moment.
Go outside, touch some grass, breathe some fresh air, eat a lovely soup.
That is true. That is true. And an update on the tooth situation. God bless me, and I truly did. I got to see a dentist today. Thank you all for the prayers. I am going to lose one tooth, but that was at first when the infection was so spread. They thought it was 3 teeth that were infected.
To the 2 nurses and the 1 doctor that we saw at the ER, fuck you all.
Oh, you didn't have to. They're just
fuck you 3.
Jaded.
Y'all are fucking assholes who did not take us seriously. fuck y'all. I hope that y'all have the same experience that Mom had and nobody believes you.
Well, it's not just us. I mean, apparently, they tell you if you've got an infection, different things like that, seek medical help immediately, especially if you are diabetic or something. And then you go to the medical help and they do nothing. Mm-hmm. But we will discuss that. I was looking as far as sadism within the medical field. So that's a cup that's brewing. But I would rather, lose one than lose three. Or I'd rather not become septic because that's bad. That's not on my to-do list.
Yeah, it's not on my to-do list either if you die from sepsis and I have to bury you in the backyard.
Well, yeah.
I would prefer to be like 50-something when that happens. No.
Anyhow, thank you all for the prayers.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
seriously, thank you all for praying for her.
So if you have experiences with paranormal, supernatural encounters with UFOs, aliens, cryptids, Mongolian death worms...
Who has seen a Mongolian death worm?
Well, we don't know. There may be somebody out there.
Have y'all really seen it?
There may be somebody out there. If you've got local, regional, family myths or legends, send us an email, cupofcoffeewithscream@gmail.com, and the email address will be there in the description box so you don't have to try to remember it. Thank you for taking the time to share coffee with us and ponder either great or small ponderings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hopefully I get a laugh.
Yeah. And if you like this video, don't forget to like, share, comment, and most of all, subscribe and click that little notification button for daily notifications of our daily uploads. Thank you all, and have a good one.
We'll see you on the next cup. Bye.
Eat a lovely soup. Touch grass.